From out of the morning haze looms the metropolis of Roanoke, the third largest city in Virginia. Much could be said here about the illustrious history of the Old Dominion state and its famous cities, such as modern Roanoke, built upon the very ground over which marched the armies of the North and South during the Civil War, and Richmond, the largest city and capital of the state, where the Capitol buildings represent the oldest legislative assembly in the Western Hemisphere, and where Patrick Henry, the illustrious orator of the American Revolutionary War, made his impassioned plea for liberty or death. Verily, much has been said about all this, but the purpose of our visit now is to see something of the industries which help to develop and sustain the state of Virginia. The first of these is tobacco, and it is fitting that we should begin this sequence at Danville, the tobacco center of the state. A considerable portion of Virginia's best tobacco is grown by independent farmers on comparatively small plots of land. Here, the precious leaves are being prepared for the drying barns. The cultivation of tobacco requires unusual skill, for it is subjected not only to the regular hazards of agriculture, but it is a crop that can be completely spoiled by a few moments of inattention or carelessness. After it is picked, leaf by leaf, it is cured or dried until the leaves are a bright yellow color, a very delicate process which takes place in the tobacco barn. Virginia has always been a farming state, and its present-day prosperity and welfare depend largely upon the soundness of its agricultural development. Although it has vast plantations upon which all the modern innovations of farming are in practice, our interest centers around the independent farmer, who still clings to old-fashioned methods and seems to be content with the simple privilege of working his own land on his own time and in his own way. More power to him. This undying spirit of independence is one of long standing in the Old Dominion state, and humble though it may be in this particular case, it reflects a praiseworthy heritage that is fundamentally American. Here, the one man and a mule outfit is producing sorghum, or molasses, which is obtained by pressing the juice from a species of sugar cane and boiling it. A unique method, not unlike that which served the ancient Egyptians thousands of years ago. One of the most important agricultural achievements in the state of Virginia is the cultivation of peanuts, planted in April or May and usually harvested in October. Aside from farmers, few people seem to realize that peanuts grow underground like potatoes. An average plant attains a height of 18 inches, and a single vine may bear from 25 to 50 nuts. After the vines are plowed up, they are shaken from the soil and then stacked on a pole for curing, allowing the wind to blow through them for several weeks, as the shells are soft and damp when dug. The peanuts are then picked from the vines either by hand or by machine pickers, such as we see here, the debris being blown away by fans. About 200 million pounds of peanuts are used annually in the production of peanut butter alone. And in addition to this, peanuts are used for making candy, edible oil, lubricating oil, gasoline, dyes, cosmetics, and other things too numerous to mention. The peanut was brought to America in the early part of the 18th century, and its value now exceeds $100 million annually in the United States. For a long time after the first settlers reached Virginia, the tidal waterways and rivers afforded the most satisfactory means of transportation in the eastern part of the state. And these waters are still used by a conglomeration of boats for commerce and pleasure. Here, too, independent endeavor finds itself among the fishermen, who own their own boats and depend upon the products of the sea for their livelihood. No visit to Virginia would be complete without a trip to Natural Bridge, which is regarded as one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Before the white man came to America, the Indians worshipped this ancient wonder and called it the Bridge of God. In 1774, Thomas Jefferson bought it from King George III of England for 20 shillings. And he predicted even then that Natural Bridge would be a world-famous attraction. In this subterranean realm, discovered in 1878, one experiences a feeling of mute wonder and reverence for the great Creator and the quaint and superb handiwork of nature, carved in solid stone. At some period long subsequent to its original excavation, and after many large stalactites had grown, the caverns were completely filled with glacial mud, charged with acid, whereby the dripstone was eroded into singularly grotesque shapes and colors. After the mud had been mostly removed by flowing water, these eroded forms remained amid the new growths. When the cave was first entered, the floor was covered with thousands of tracks made by wild animals, many of them of prehistoric origin. Traces of human occupation were also discovered, leading geologists to believe that Luray Caverns may have sheltered primitive cavemen long before the dawn of civilization. The caverns, containing nearly 3 miles of underground passage, are internationally famous, attracting almost 200,000 visitors each year. There are no streams or true springs in the caverns, but there are hundreds of basins varying from 6 inches to 15 feet in depth. The water in them is crystal clear, exquisitely pure, and completely devoid of animal life. By way of tribute to this marvel of creation, at Easter time, a church choir marches through the caverns, effectively singing their alleluias to the Lord, Creator of heaven and earth and all things great and small.